Go YouTube, go. Go live. We are live now. 12 viewers, 3 likes.
For episode what now?
Episode
12.
12.
12 users for episode 12.
12 users to start episode, and we got beer.
And we got beer.
I have water.
Because Mo doesn't.
Mo's not a big beer
He's not a
person.
beer guy. And you guys are like trying to force it on him. And he
I
didn't
appreciate the water donations, though.
like it. And so does Flint.
Yeah, so does Flint. Troy's got worse water, but that's a different topic.
Hey, man, come on. I live in Detroit. Like, let's,
I don't want to break the news to you, but
you know, come on. Be a whistleblower, man. See something, say something.
see something, say something, taste some funny water.
Oh,
Tom
man.
Lawrence.
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash.
All right, we get that out of the way. How They Got Hacked, episode 12, on the new channel, so we're excited about that.
Woot.
We have some stories to talk about, some stupid that happened.
Some stupid that happened.
Lots of stupid happening.
That's one way to put it.
So in case you're wondering what's back there, I somehow I live under a rock occasionally, and I don't know something. I'm always I'm excited to learn something, but it seems like I should have known about this because I'm a Shodan subscriber, paid user. 2000.shodan.io is behind Xavier's head right now. So
Yes, it is.
we thought that'd be kind of cool, and it's kind
Even
of
done for you there.
Yeah. So it's a live feed of some of the Shodan stuff as it's being detected. Is that what that is? It's all.
Yeah, it's just all just. I don't know if it's as it's being detected as much as it's just like randomly chugging through stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's just fun to see. Like, oh my God, there's that many things on the internet that are either potentially compromised. Right? We've seen a few ubiquity things. Port 10,001, right?
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
It's a reminder that 10,001 is not the anonymous port you thought it was.
It's not what you thought it was. Seeing some of that fun compromise tag pop up.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what's happening. So which thing should we start at? Should we start with
I feel like Baltimore.
talk about Baltimore.
Let's
some more.
just get Baltimore right out the way. Baltimore,
Right out the way.
does any like if we're still talking about it, you already know the sentiment, right? Like they haven't decrypted yet, they haven't restored from backup yet.
And it sounds like it was just a long-term persistent access. The hackers had long-term access to things, and it's just they undoubtedly pwned every backup they had. We're only debriefing because and I don't blame them because everyone's head's on a platter. They're out for blood. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the FBI is involved. Everything else. Everyone's being really quiet about it. I've had people that told me they live in Baltimore and know a little bit about the IT, and I think I can quote someone as saying, I don't do any contract work for the city of Baltimore because I like getting paid. He referred to the IT department as the Baltimoreans.
Oh, man.
I know. I'm not going to pick on them because before I say anything's really wrong with the city of Baltimore as far as their IT, they may have really skilled IT people, and I hopefully they're running around holding a bunch of get out of jail free cards going, remember at that budget meeting when I said you should buy a new anything and they bought new nothing? So it's not, I don't always like to immediately blame IT people for it. They may be completely competent and working within the realm of what they had, and what they had may have been garbage. So before I throw them under the bus, I will say that what we've seen publicly exposed, like I mentioned before, with really old equipment, clearly there was not quite the budget for updating things that there should have been.
Ouch. And
they've went through, the Ars Technica article said they had went through, I believe it was 4 separate CIOs just in the last couple of years.
You know what that means?
Yeah.
Contractors.
The other
churn.
And the other side of that churn could be, fix it. There's no budget. And some of these CIOs going, not on my watch. I don't want that on my resume. I'm leaving this place before you guys become infamous. And it's like under the watch of so-and-so CIO.
Right.
I mean, that's when you're at that level, you want a background of like when they go, where do you work? You don't want to go Equifax, Baltimore.
Yeah.
You don't really want those on your resume. So once again, the leaving. Whenever there's employee rotation, I learned this a long time ago from one of my friends. He owned a chain of restaurants. And he says, I know when there's a problem. I know when I have to fix a manager when I see a bunch of turnover with the staff. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, so if I have a lot of turnover at one of my restaurants, the wait staff, I come in, ask no questions. I grab the manager, I walk him out the door and tell him it's his last day. He goes, when I see the bottom turning over, I know there's a management problem at the top. And so you see a bunch of people rotating in and out of the department, there's a management problem at the top because if they can't get the things they want it done, it's the same rules apply for that.
Yes, icky.
It's icky. So Baltimore's still a mess. Baltimore's still on fire.
Still on fire. You can't buy a house in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, still can't buy houses. I don't know what they're going to do there. So that's definitely.
I mean, in other news, it's not necessarily a hack, but it is about employees abusing power.
Oh boy.
That they're supposed to be
Snap
protecting
lying?
us. Snap lying.
Snap lying?
We all use
Snap lying.
Snapchat.
So this is one of those things. You thought your Snapchats were private. Maybe
No,
not.
you didn't.
Okay.
I hope you
Okay.
didn't.
We never thought
I
they
hope
were.
you didn't.
There's someone who believed they were.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So basically, I'll actually put it up on a monitor here.
Here you go.
I like
dope logo.
That's a dope logo. I'm not gonna lie. I
lying.
really like the logo. We're gonna go with that first because every good abuse, scandal, hack, anything's got to have a logo these days.
Got to.
But Snapchat employees abuse data and access spying users. Multiple sources and emails also describe Snapline as an internal tool used by various departments to access Snapchat's user data. And, I couldn't help. I was laughing. Like, we're going to forget about this in 24 hours, about the same time a Snapchat story lasts. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be over it sooner than later. Don't
and
worry.
Snapchat will, have some other facial thing, a little face swap going on.
Yeah.
I want to get excited about
There
their
you
tools
go.
again and be like, oh, yeah, it's all right that they spied on my nude photos. It's all right. It's cool. They look at this cool face changing thing I got right now.
Yeah.
So what do you do when the people at the company that you're supporting is looking at your private data? What do you do in that case?
Yeah, and this is
You read the terms and conditions and realize that your data was never your data, and that you were donating data to them, and that they were now the actual owners and sole proprietors of that data. And so, like, technically, it's their data to go through. Like, it's not even your data. That's what's really creepy. If you just open up the terms and conditions and read, it's like, oh, it's an
Right.
advertising platform, and I'm just a person generating data.
And
Awesome.
one thing I think people don't know is the way Snapchat works. It doesn't. Your data isn't actually gone. It just you can't see
You can
it.
see it. Yeah.
Right.
It's feature
still on.
toggle.
It's actually still on your phone. All the
Apparently-
picture of you taking everything.
Apparently,
you
there's
just
a
can't see
literal feature toggle in the row that's like a 1 or a 0.
Yeah.
Are you an internal employee? Oh, okay. Well, you can see everything.
Right.
But if you're not an internal employee, you can't see everything. That's interesting.
And this is why coming at any of these social media platforms from more of a hacker mentality is, anything we post online, we're controlling the narrative. So we start from that position that we're putting out there what we want you to know about us. So when some people think it's weird that I'm on social media, like, oh, aren't you a computer guy? I'm like, yeah, I'm controlling the narrative. Facebook knows everything about me that they're supposed to know.
Yep.
Matter of fact, a while ago, I remember I had a lot of fun. I used to drive people crazy because everyone couldn't figure out how you do it. It was, how cheesy of a hack this is. Not other computer people, but you could do all the GPS location hacks and check in places and
Oh, yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
Don't you remember with Foursquare, you could become captain of a place?
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
you just modify the GPS on your phone, route your phone, swap the GPS, be
Done.
wherever you want.
Yeah.
I was checking in all the time, like, oh, I'm in Vegas now and whatever, just having fun. Places had those deals when you checked in, so you just
Yeah.
like,
King of the hill.
yeah.
Get all the points for checking in places.
And this is the thing. I always looked at it as another toy because I started back in the dial-up BBS days in the 90s doing this. So anything I put online, I've always thought about controlling narrative. But when you introduce it to the general public, you get a very different dynamic because the general public goes, oh, cool, I can talk to my friends and then I can post what I think about President whatever.
Becomes a
And-
diary.
Yeah, it becomes like a personal diary and not
Exactly.
realizing they're dumping all their personal information. I'm like, no, I never put that information online. From my mentality, it's just a BBS with a fancier interface.
Yeah.
Like,
Basically.
yeah, and once you come from that concept, that's why hackers who use it think of it very differently. Either they don't do it at all because they don't want to, because they just don't want to participate with the people on there, or like I do it because I use it kind of for a business use case, but to communicate with certain people. But anything on Facebook, I have a lot on there. Yeah, I post a lot. Yeah, everything I wanted you to know about me is on there. If
Right.
there's something you don't put it online if I didn't want you to know it, and that's always been my mentality. And this is how any of those companies are. So. Yeah, so Snapchat. Now, the other story that's a little bit bigger is how to lose $100,000 plus dollars.
Whoops.
Whoops, maybe a SIM card swap will do that on there. This is actually a really good Medium article here, so let me jump over to it. The most expensive lesson of my life, details of a SIM port hack. Actually, the honesty this person who posted this has about, losing a lot of money through a SIM card swap. And it's a targeted attack on there. But wow, they detail out how they were hacked, which that takes a lot of brutal honesty, because if you get hacked and then you want to detail out how it happened to you as a warning to others, this is an educational piece, hopefully it will not happen to you. But they have the entire timeline of events, what the experience, what the attacker was like. And by the way, I think somewhere in here they talk about the emotional experience of it. 24-hour time span, a SIM-port attack drained my Coinbase account. It has been 4 days since the incident. I'm gutted. I have zero appetite. My sleep was restless. I'm awash in feelings of anxiety, remorse, and embarrassment. Oof. And those are honest feelings. I mean, I physically...
How it feels when you get hacked.
This is the feeling, and this is something important about that. I've had my house broken into. Oof. And, they stole some shit. And that's a seriously...
That's a wow.
Where I'm from, you simply call that, I'm sick.
I'm sick.
I'm sick.
Yeah. You go into a different mode of thinking. You're pretty angry. I caught the guy, so yeah.
Wow. You caught the guy in the act?
No, not in the act.
But you found the guy after.
I found the guy right away.
Did you wire his jaw? Allegedly.
Well, he had done something stupid enough to get attacked, so this was icing on the cake. He was already in jail, but I found out who did it, because there's ways you can find out pretty quickly. So thieves, there's no honor among thieves. You've probably heard that. Turns out you roll up with I seen a bunch of, I thought I knew who it was. So roll up with a bunch of people on the porch. I roll up with a few $100 bills. I was like, who wants to turn in who went in my house? I got a few $100 bills for a person that can name that person. And they're like, Dirty Dave did it. I'll tell you where he's at right now. He's in Grand Rapids, because that's where he took all your stuff to sell.
Wow.
And he also had robbed them too. He stole a few things from them. They were quick to turn him over. So that was a great $100 spent. They had the evidence that he did it anyways. That's my personal story.
Darn you, Dirty Dave.
Darn Dirty Dave.
Darn you.
Man. I can't wait to see you on the street.
Anyways. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Dirty Dave.
So, SIM-port attacks are still a thing.
SIM swapping is a thing. Isn't this how McAfee, isn't that how he got caught up too?
I think they did that. So this is one of the reasons why I hate any company that's using cell phones as a second factor of authentication. It's never what you should be using. I don't use it. Even though I do my best, I know someone eventually, despite me not publishing it places, may give out my cell phone somewhere. Someone will try to dox me, whatever, and I'll have my cell phone out there. I just expect this to happen. It's like I've got contingencies for it. Basically, those contingencies are I don't use my cell phone for any of the 2FA stuff. And if you do decide to use a cell phone for this, if there's like some companies that don't have any option, you get a separate number. Sorry that you're not using it much and you're paying whatever per month for it, but you don't tell anybody that number exists, and it's much harder to attack you. Because it's hard to figure out what that second number is if it's never really tied to something. I'm not calling people on it. I'm just using it for that. So, because unfortunately, some companies, they have that where they just don't have second factor options. And I can't remember them. There was a website, it was like a 2FA something. I can't remember it. There was a list of all the companies that still only have cell phone. I think eBay is one of them.
So bad.
I don't know if eBay ever fixed it, but for a while, that was the only way you could have a second factor on eBay was to send a stupid text message to you. Granted, it's just an eBay account, but that's just for me because I don't know how much on my eBay account. But when I used to have a business eBay account because we were selling all stuff on eBay, that drove me nuts. I'm like, I want TOTP. I want, even when I worked forever ago in corporate, we had the RSA footballs, as they called them, little rotating numbers and stuff. You had to have that token, and we kept it in a safe with a lock and a spin combination.
Good old football.
I mean, if you ever had a Metro PCS phone or any phone that has a high turnover rate, you get that number and they call you like, hey, this is Google calling with your, your number, but it's not that person's phone anymore. It's your phone now.
That always was so interesting to me, getting those random calls,
or your kids
or get a random text.
Your kids are skipping school today. You're like, I don't even have kids.
Right, and seriously, some of the things that happen when you do have a cell phone for 2FA and you think you're protected, it can be social engineered. And hopefully you're thinking a lot more about it. And if it's a personal account, this is a little bit harder of an attack vector. But when you're doing a red team pen test, you'll see people do this. And they're like, hey, they just get the person, they already have the cell phone number. They know a code's going to it. So they got the two things. I know who they are. I got their cell phone number. I don't need their cell phone. I don't need a SIM swap. If I call and say, hey, this is Tom from IT. We're going to do some maintenance on your account. You're about to get a number sent to it. I need that number. Just read it back to me on the phone. Oh, cool. Thank you. All right, we're all set, man.
Remember, IT will never ask you for your password.
Never.
Right.
That's what I would say on the phone. Remember?
And they won't ask you for your 2FA.
Thank you.
Well, they shouldn't, but sometimes they do. Actually, in the Darknet Diaries, the one about the guy from the marketing.
Yeah, Jeremy from marketing.
Jeremy from marketing. Yeah. That's exactly how he did. He had the password because this person had an easy to guess password, so he didn't have to violate the IT policy of don't ask for passwords. He's just like, hey, I'm in IT. I already got your password. That's how you know I'm from IT. So you assure them confidence.
I'm in your account right now.
Yeah, and then you go and. Yeah, then you just say, give me that number that comes across there for the second factor, and you'll be all set. And then he was in. So, yeah, cell phones are not my favorite way to do it. I use a series of rotating numbers, the TOTP authentication. I've talked about this on my channel a couple times. It's not hard to implement. Anytime a company doesn't implement it, I'm puzzled. It's an open source, no copyright, no license protocol. It's well documented, easy to implement, very, very easy. Matter of fact, in my demo I did of it, I got a bash script. I show how to set up TOTP, and you can literally generate the numbers from the command line on a bash script.
Nice.
Yep. The protocol, the math, everything's open, and there's no way to defeat it.
It's super easy.
Super easy.
So Gary, no, I'm sorry, not Gary. Rampage was talking about the TechCrunch writer Matt that got his entire world hacked because Twitter uses, SMS 2FA.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh. Also, Otto's came and asked, "What's with the hot sauce?"
What's up, Otto's?
What's with the hot sauce, huh?
So they tried a little bit of a couple of these hot sauces, and so if you follow me from my other channel, we talk about hot sauce every now and then, and we love like crazy amounts of Scovilles. And we actually have on the wall over here, which we got some graphics and vinyl on order. As soon as we have it all printed, we're gonna do a review of all the hot sauces. We have our firewall, as we call it, wall of fire. It's all these different hot sauces that we've collected from all over the place. Well, hanging out before the show, they've tried some of it, and we were like, we need to do a hacker hot ones. Eat some hot sauce, talk about some hacking.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of hot ones. I
love that show.
Yeah, someone said when I did a video, and I mentioned being a video, like, yeah, I'm a big fan of hot ones. I have the Last Dab, all that, all of those, and we talk about it. Someone's like, are you trying to rip off hot ones? And I'm like, rip them off? No, I'm honoring these guys.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not interviewing celebrities. Maybe celebrity hackers. I don't mind. Maybe there's a spin-off option on there doing a show like that, because you get real honest when your mouth is on fire and your nose is watering.
There you go.
It might be a fun hacker interview. I think it's a good idea. And
it's a social engineering tactic.
Social engineering. Can you still keep your cool while eating hot?
Can you keep your cool while you eating hot? I'm going to personally say that my stomach is not set up for this, but I will participate. I think that it would be fun to have me, you, and Mo, and then some guest, and we all have to, take a bite of the wing. And then we interview the guest or something like that. That would be interesting.
Yeah, we have some more fun ideas. We always, before the show, any of these, there's a lot of goofing off that goes on. We're eating some blueberry hot sauce and some scorpion pepper hot sauce.
Woo, Mo, how you feel about that scorpion pepper?
Scorpion pepper was very zesty. I'll say that. It was very
zesty.
So it's definitely real. It's a thing for sure. Yeah,
the wall of fire.
That's what it is.
There you go.
So I think we're good on the most expensive hack, though. What's the next
one?
one?
Another expensive hack that I've been meaning to bring up that I forgot is
God.
Binance, the Bitcoin wallet was hacked.
How many? 7,000 coins?
7,000 Bitcoins, which is roughly 40, 50 million, give or take.
Drop in the bucket.
That happened in around early May, around like May 8th, May 9th.
Oof. Talk about making a bunch of money.
Now, no users were affected. And, they didn't actually hack the cryptocurrency. It was just the platform that it was on that got hacked.
54 million Bitcoin. Binance sues Sequoia Capital.
There we go.
Yeah, this is what happens when a bunch of wealthy people get hacked. You know who wins? Lawyers.
Of course. I get to start the bill at $1,500.
So this is going to be a big mess.
$1,500 an hour. Oh, we driving Rolls Royces. We celebrate. we umbrellas in the doors.
Yeah,
Rolls Royce.
What?
A Conan said, please.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that you would live places with potholes.
So, yeah, this is one of the interesting things about a Bitcoin or any type of digital currency hack versus a regular hack. So, when you do a regular bank hack, you got to figure out how to get the money out. So, frequently you're going to use money mules. There's been a couple instances. There's an old story about one where they hacked some of the ATMs, but it took them a long time to catch up with them because ATM hacks means I can get the money right away. The problem with a lot of the other ones where they do these large bank heists is they got to get the money, but sometimes the bank's onto them, so they let them follow the process. So when someone shows up at the bank, they can arrest them, and they try to get the people to roll and do that. Well, it's a lot different when you do digital currency hacks because they're going to take and subdivide this money out and spread it around and then spread it through some of the different exchanges to wash it and then land it all back in whoever's bank account it belongs to. Well, the hacker at that point, whoever's the endpoint of the money, but they make
last mule.
The last mule. By the time these companies figure out they were hacked, it's already gone through several iterations. It's already gone through that. So cryptocurrency hacking is one of the challenges that I think is going to be the non-starter. It's like going to keep cryptocurrency from being as mainstream as it could be because people are looking for protections on this. When you put money in a bank, it's insured by the FDIC. So if you physically went and robbed the bank that I do my company's banking at, my money is not going to go away with it.
Right,
you know what I mean? It may physically. I may deposit dollars that you physically took, but they have a federal deposit insurance company that will take care of this. And until we have some type of understanding and rules applied in the same way to the digital currency, it's not that I'm don't like digital currency, but it's not as real until it's not going to be mainstream until those protections are there. I mean, I can't do my company that way. It would be greatly it'd be a big scary problem. But yeah, the Binance hack is definitely, we don't have a lot of details of how that happened, do we? So
no, they're just really saying no users were affected. They didn't hack the actual coin. They just hacked the platform which is hosted on. But actually that's not the most expensive cryptocurrency hack.
Docs.
Yeah, Mt. Gox is still the most expensive.
Actually,
Nope.
CoinCheck is the most expensive.
CoinCheck is the most. Okay.
Ooh.
Hackers were able to get $530 million worth of coin from CoinCheck. They were able to get $350 million from Mt. Gox, $180 million from BitGrill, $72 million from Bitfinex, and $60 million from Zafe. I've never heard of any of these coins.
Well, you see why.
But I'm sure this is why.
Yep. There you go. Gotta be careful making exchanges.
Have to be careful.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful of that. Now, this is interesting because we were talking about privacy, and there's obviously a lot of concern with things like the companies that do the license plate scanning and things like that. And this is maker of U.S. border license plate scanning tech, ransacked hacker blueprints, and files dumped online. So they got into these servers managed by this, and this doesn't necessarily mean they compromise people's license plates, but they compromise the software maker that supplies places like Homeland Security. But this is going to give them an inside edge of looking into how the software is developed, and eventually these companies that are supposed to be safety and keeping us safe by scanning our license plates and watching which cars go across the border and things like that, if they find an edge or a flaw in their software, will they still be able to keep that information safe? So it's kind of a dominoes effect. I think the software should be open source to begin with because any government software should always be open source, is my personal opinion, because we want to understand what it's doing. Transparency in government, to me, from transparency into the way the laws are made or transparency in the software that the companies use that could be used against us, is a basic right I think we should all have. Yeah. Which technically, if you, not that I'll go too far into the tangent, but you in the United States have the right to face your accuser. If I can't see the software, can I face my accuser? If a piece of software has determined me guilty of a crime or contributed to evidence in a crime, I am owed the right to face my accuser. Therefore, I should be able to audit any source codes of things that were accusing me. So there may be a good side of this that, that it was open source, so to speak, by someone who goes by, and I like the term, and if you're not familiar with the movie, Boris the Blade. This is from the movie Snatch, and it's a great movie. And we think, and per this article in the Register, we think he's the extortionist that hacks an IT provider, used the stars of tech and big biz, leaks customer info after ransom goes unpaid. And this hacker is not gray hat at all. This is clearly black hat.
Yeah.
They went in there, and this is a little bit different type of ransom. They basically got their data and said, if you don't pay the money, I'm going to dump it out on the internet. And so that's...
And they weren't kidding.
Yeah. CityComp boasts it looks after more than 70,000 servers and storage systems in all types of sizes, 75 countries. So CityComp is this really big IT provider that has a good A-list of celebrity companies that they provide IT for, and they basically, this hacker went in their systems. They said what they did was, it sounds like the CityComp tried closing the hole and thought the hacker, we closed the hole so we don't need the ransomware. Oh, by the way, we already used the hole to get the data. I think that's the part that eluded them. So it's when, yeah, so it's kind of another mess, but it's actually, we think it's the same hacker for both, according to the Register article. But I laugh because maybe you want to watch, if you haven't seen the movie Snatch, it's a British gangster movie by Guy Ritchie. It's a classic. It's like 20 years old.
Yeah.
But
I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Definitely.
Have you seen it, Xavier?
No, I'm not a movie guy. Sorry,
Okay.
man. I haven't seen a lot of movies.
This week's movie suggestion is Snatched.
There you go.
And if you like Snatch, you will also like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
Technically, that's Snatch Part 1. So
Okay.
Guy Ritchie's first movie is Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Same exact concept. Matter of fact, a lot of the same actors.
Okay.
But it's just as good.
Nice.
So definitely, those are our movie suggestions for this week.
Avenged by Cherry said, I need stickers. Yes, I do. Please send them.
I'll get at least a few out of my office.
There you go.
All right. Now we know there's some hate, but I'm gonna let the guy.
The docs.
Oh, the doxer. I know.
The docs god. The
Okay,
docs
we'll
lord.
hide his name. We'll
The
pretend
docs
it's not on the
lord.
website.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Did he say sorry yet?
I don't
Did
think
he say sorry
he
yet?
deleted it, but he didn't say sorry. I wish he'd say sorry.
Oh,
I think he's trying to bury it, just kind of going.
That's not how this
if we
works.
put blinders on, will it go away?
That's how this works. That's definitely how this works.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping he says sorry.
I'm hoping I see him on in real life, and I'm like, we know your real name.
You know you're Brian Krebs.
You're Brian Krebs. I'm doxing you.
Oh, sorry, but so this is actually really interesting. Hundreds of millions of title insurance records. So this is breaking literally today. The website Fortune 500 Real Estate Insurance First American Financial Corp leaked hundreds of millions of documents related to mortgage going all the way back to 2003. Now what happened here, it turns out we don't know how many people access this data. They had a misconfigured server that was publicly exposing pretty much every email attachment that you'd ever sent to them, it sounds like, since 2003.
Wow.
And they're a massive, massive lender. And people, here's a picture like seller information. This isn't just like some personal information. This is your bank account, your routing number, everything you need to buy a house.
That's a lot.
So
of
the
info.
entire title processing. Not to mention, not only the information to buy a house, this is ways people could
Assume your persona.
assume your persona and assume your bills, maybe even take over your
Account
and mortgage and everything else, and really get to know you really well.
Yes.
So I like the First America response that says, First America learned of a design defect in an application that possible unauthorized access to customer data. First America security privately and confidentially all the highest priorities. Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah. And someone basically probably just I don't know the details of how they found it. I didn't dig into all that. It's this breaking, literally just before we started the show, this came out. But this is one of those things. This is why you hire application testers. This is why you hire pen testers. Because those are the people that think a little bit differently. They're not the people that wrote the application, and they sit there around poking at it. And even if you don't hire them, there's someone poking at it. Don't worry, it'll happen.
Right.
And someone poking at it's undoubtedly how this came to light and how this was found. And those audits are not cheap, I'll admit. I did a review of the communication software we use. You know, they spent $100,000 for, what do we use? The Keybase.io.
NCC Group did it, right?
Yep. They went through a line item audit of the way they do things. They spent $100,000. I mean, they're still in startup mode. They're still, I mean, granted they have some funding behind them, but that's a big hit. If you're in startup mode on a company trying to get it launched and you go, no, we care about security so much, we're going to spend $100,000 on just a code audit, just for an application, not an entire, I mean, granted they have a website that works with the application, but still spending $100,000 on a security firm to research your stuff is is expensive.
And the big part that they tested was the encryption, which is
Yeah.
like the main sell of Keybase. So like it just makes sense for them.
It makes sense for them. And their encryption, it turns out, is really, really solid. That's why I did a review. Like, the way they're doing it, they implemented the exploding messages with secondary Diffie-Hellman keys. And they call them exploding messages because for each message you send, they create a separate Diffie-Hellman key, and then they delete that key, so every key is ephemeral. That's like taking security to the right level. Like, I'm not going to say next level. We're going to say right level when you're doing stuff like that. And those are the kind of things that these companies need to do. They need to go through these proper audits. And this is why these audits exist, is not to just waste money and make some bureaucrat happy. You need an Xavier to go through your stuff and poke at it and go, you know what I found? Yeah. You want someone to find it that you're paying to find it before someone you're not paying emails Krebs.
There you go.
You don't want to be in Krebs.
You don't want to be in Krebs because he's going to dox you.
He's going to dox you. He's going to call you out. Technically, that's what he does. He's kind of doxing companies.
That's what he's been doing the whole time, huh?
Yeah. So, this is a pretty big hack and obviously a treasure trove of information. So, wow. Man. Quite a bit in there.
And speaking of Brian Krebs, I'll be honest here. His website name is Krebs on Security. Mm-hmm. Well, I started a blog. And guess what I named my blog?
What is your blog's name?
Infinite on Security.
There we go. I like it.
Infinite spelled phonetically, if you're looking for it. Infinite like my Twitter name.
But you can probably find it on his Twitter, which we'll have links below for all of our Twitter accounts so you can follow us and whatever we're rambling about.
There you go. The rants and rambles.
Rants and rambles. Well, I publish all my rambles in forms of YouTube because I don't like typing that much.
There you go.
So whatever I'm ranting about, I'm probably either ranting on here or ranting on my channel. One of those two things.
Makes sense.
It's just easier. I can get a lot of words out this way faster than I can type.
I'm not much of a rambler. You just have to ask me.
I'm not much of a rambler. That's a hell of a statement.
He's over in Discord. You can find him over there.
Oh, yeah, you can find me on Discord.
Oh, great.
And I thought I had time for Discord, and then I realized how much time Mo spends on the Discord. And I'm like, maybe I don't have as much time for Discord as I realized.
I'll take care of the Discord,
Mo's on Discord a lot. I'm not on there very often. I don't do as many real-time chats anymore. It's not really my thing.
But you have to check in on the Discord. People have questions for you.
It's true. People do. They do. And you know what? Lots of people like hit us up in all different types of channels. My Keybase is fairly popular, and then like I'm appreciative. Like I like the fact that people reach out and come and grab the books and give me books. I've made some nice relationships.
I like how the Discord community has come together.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think
Thank
I
you
know
everyone who joined and who participates.
Thank you for participating. We made the channels for you guys.
Yes.
It seems like you guys like the channels. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we get like some more plugins, like GIF plugins or emoji plugins and music jukebox request plugins and all types of stuff.
And I seen this was in there, and I have SM Oliva.
Yep.
I'm probably saying it wrong. They've sent me stuff before. I've talked about some of them. They great writer, if you didn't know, but they write about some of the legal side of cases. There's actually quite a bit on the blog here. So
that person is actually in here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Skip Oliva. Hi.
Yes, definitely great. I always want to say Olivia, but it's Oliva. So, anyways. There's a lot of great blog posts on here and a lot of security posts. Definitely worth reading, and definitely some this is from 2016. But yeah, is there a constitutional right to audit source code? And there's still so much because all of our court systems are based on precedents. There's still a lot to decide on this, and this is an important factor in any of this stuff we do. And I'm gonna guess that if I had to guess, is this a breathalyzer one, or I didn't read this. I seen this is posted in the live chat right now. No, this is not. There's another case about breathalyzers, and someone sued to get the source code to a breathalyzer because they said, I sue for the right to face my accuser, and I'm being accused of a breathalyzer. I need to know if the source code because I want to have a code audit to make sure it's accurate.
Ooh,
that's a great angle.
I love that.
I love that actually.
Yeah, it's a really interesting angle. There was another person, and this is also an interesting angle as well. So you can't turn off the recording when police wear body cams, but there was an arrest made of the police made an unfortunate mistake. They arrested the person who was one of the developers of the software, of the body cam software, and they claim they lost it. He's like, I happen to know exactly what it would take to lose this because I wrote the redundancies and everything else and sued and was able to get the arrest that they said didn't exist and things like that. It was a few years ago. But these are one of those things, this is why we need proper trails. We need proper audits for authenticity.
When being a smartass goes right.
Exactly.
Yeah, when being a smartass goes
stories
right.
like that. I love stories like that.
Yeah, it is.
Right in the eyes.
This is going to be more and more of a factor when we're using software to convict us, when we're using software to manage us. We need to make sure that software has integrity, that it's well written, and things like that. This is going to be coming up like a very. I predict there's going to be a spiral of these court cases as technology weaves its way into the government and weaves its way into the justice system. This is a really important topic. I'm happy that Skip's writing about it, and Skip says, he's figuring it out here. Close enough, Tom. Let's see. I'm actually looking into a launch of a separate blog on data security litigation next week.
Nice,
Awesome.
Man. Keep us updated.
Yep. It was a Massachusetts case. So Skip Oliver, I don't know the legal background, but does write all about a lot of law and case studies. So follow the blog post on there, or just search for it. You can find some of the blog posts. And I've talked about him before, and he's active in my forums.
Nice.
So, yeah, bad cop, no donut. We'll go with that.
No donuts.
No donuts for bad cops. I'm trying to get this Ars Technica article to come up, but Ars Technica is down.
It's being really bad, right?
It's being down. The concept is there because we're going to talk about the 0 days being dropped by a genius.
Sandbox Escaper strikes again.
Yeah, the Sandbox Escaper. So Sandbox Escaper dropped a few 0 days on there. I'll leave the link in here. Maybe the Ars Technica site will not be broken by the time I do this. Is it blocking something? Is it my uBlock causing it?
Potentially.
It was working earlier today. No, their site's just apparently this is so popular it is taking down their site.
Hurry!
Oh, look, you got the ad though.
On.
I got the ads.
You got the ad.
Turn the uBlock back on. Hurry
before I get more ads.
Sheesh.
Anyways, yeah.
Look, that's ad inception. We're gonna have ads, and then that's gonna be an ad. Do they get paid for that impression?
I don't know.
No,
when the CSS on your site won't load, but the ads
That's a hit already.
They figure it out.
So, anyways, save me some of the reading. So, the Sandbox Escapers are a really interesting individual, whoever this individual is. There's been some going back and forth. They post a bunch of stuff, put it all on GitHub, 0 days that they could be being paid for. And they did a rant a few months ago about how they just don't like the process of getting 0 days and getting paid for it. Yeah. So they just drop them on their blog account.
Emotionally unstable.
I'm going to say I don't know this person, but there appears to be some bit of instability because they post everything. Then they seem to maybe regret posting it and take it all down.
Take it back down.
Yeah, but once you post it on the internet, and it's on the internet, and these 0 days exist, and apparently there were two of them. One of them was fixed in their most recent patch Tuesday. The second one was not. But it's just interesting that someone would forego proper 0 day disclosure. They're obviously very talented and able to even get these type of hacks out there.
Imagine being that talented just to be able to find 0 days in your spare time and release them out of frustration.
Yeah. That's part of the craziness of it. And what do they have here? It's
literally Elliot Alderson Among Us.
Well, actually, I'm going to pull up their blog post because they took everything down, but places where polar bears dwell. The nice thing is they have nice, cute photos of polar bears. They have some vacation photos on here because the person really likes there. So, I won't be dropping my work anymore. So, this is a new update. This wasn't here earlier. I have a deep hatred for this industry. It has ruined the love and passion that I had for bug hunting. Every time I open up my research VM, I think about all the times people screwed me over or the years desperately having tried to make a career out of it. I did try for a long time to get a great job. I do plenty of interviews. I was never good enough. Now I can't help but being bothered anymore. I freaking hate the industry, blah, blah, blah.
So what we just talked about.
This is something that actually needs to be talked about.
What did we just talk about, Mo?
Yes.
You know how often we're talking other hackers off the ledge?
Yeah, like
it's not like we don't have friends that got 0 days that they like, well, I could just use this then.
And we have to be like, no, please, I don't want to see you go to jail. Please, we'll figure out something.
It's a really rough industry because computers are assholes and they beat you up, and then once you beat computers, then you got to deal with people that try and beat you up, and you're like, I definitely can beat people, and this is a part of beating computers and people. Mm-hmm. That's very much so what this is. And I as a fucking hacker, I can relate. You get tired of the bureaucracy. You get tired of the process. You get tired of not being where you want to be and knowing the things that you know and still not being able to express yourself constructively.
Yeah, I think that's a major part of it.
You have to find a constructive way.
Imagine being a superhero with superpowers and you can't.
You're literally like that. That's what Deadpool was all about. He didn't want to conform. He blew himself up multiple times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not like he didn't have reason. So, I don't know. I find it to be a little frustrating, from the perspective of kind of being able to relate a bit, but also, like, not wanting a person to do that. Like, please, you know how bad that makes it for the rest of us?
Right.
When you just drop exploits for 0 days, we can't patch.
Right.
Like, don't do that.
And the other side, there's a lot of people that work in this industry that are, we categorize them, if you're an average person, just okay, they're socially awkward. There are terms, and I don't like them, like they're on the spectrum and things like that. But we don't have good ways to describe. I mean, I meet a lot of very unique individuals that are into hacking, and they're sometimes they don't have the best social skills. They have generally, I mean, they may be super talented at that, but that makes it that much more difficult for them to have a real job or follow the processes that are expected by normal people. Right. And this may be what this Polar Bear Escape, is, or Sandbox Escaper is about. That's why they spend so much time alone and traveling, because they seem to have the travel blog, and I see when they show pictures of a tent in a travel blog, it's always a one-man tent. It's a really small one. So it's one of those things, they prefer not to be in the company of people because they have a hard time with it. And we have to be recognized that's comes with the territory of what we do. You meet these people, was it Adrian Lamo?
Yep.
And some of them
Adrian Lamo.
really out there. And
Chelsea Manning.
Right.
Sometimes, like, yeah. I don't want to go too deep.
I want to go too deep and name them because I'm not trying to call them out like there's something wrong with them, but
there's nothing wrong with them.
There's nothing wrong with them.
Actually, they're talented.
Very talented what they do, but it makes it a little bit harder for them to follow some of those processes and things like that. So it makes it kind of a sad story. And there's been times as well as being a bug hunter, especially if you're chasing down the black hat hackers, where you can actually put your life in danger on it. Right. So these people want to do as much as they can to help remain anonymous, and that becomes difficult because they want to celebrate.
Because Brian Krebs wants to dox them because spam. Wait.
Also,
I'm sorry.
Also, hackers.
I am not Dan, by the way.
Hackers and bug researchers have, tried to make disclosures, and the company that they tried to disclose to, fight them about it.
Right.
They don't want to pay them. Or they deny that the problem even exists.
Or my favorite is, we've already acknowledged this. We already have a bug ticket for it. It already been found, but thank you.
Right.
That happens so much
time.
But you know what? Like, as a person who helps manage a program for HackerOne at work and sees the bugs that come in and like have to break the hard news sometimes, that is sometimes the case. Yeah. That's why that's my favorite one, because like I've been on both ends of it. Like, damn, that hurts, and like now I have to say it, and I'm like, that's true. Like, like we already did have this. Yeah, we're already working on it. So
it's tough, and I seen someone say it's the norm for them to, standard operating procedure for them to sue. I don't really think it was for sure. I think there's a slow with companies like HackerOne, which is genius. They actually come up with a bug bounty program to actually put a process in it and get these companies to understand that this is a business model, that you pay money, you get disclosures, you get better secure software, you don't end up on a blog post of leaking data since 2003.
End up on here.
Right.
There's a much better way. There's a process, and it's because computers from technology. These are new human problems we have. These are not problems we had previously. Yeah. These weren't problems that even existed 10 years ago, 20 years ago, in the same form they do today. So with new problems comes new solutions. Yep. So it's sadly, some people got arrested. Sadly, some people had their lives ruined over this. Hopefully, in the future, we're learning from those lessons, and that's something I always want to preach, is learn from those lessons. Those people paid a price, and now there's a process for it. Yes. Security fault. Let me call the lawyers. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Ring the line.
And Skip Oliva said, a Massachusetts judge actually banned state from using breathalyzer tests altogether until the source code can be audited. That's awesome. That's the stuff I like to hear.
So if you want to get shit-faced, go to Boston.
Go to Boston.
We also have a person who just got in, and they want to know, what's that playing on the TV?
Actually, I'll type it in right here. 1000.shodan.
And this is why it's funny being a hacker sometimes, because when he said that, in my brain, I thought he meant like he walked in the room and we were on the TV and he was just like, "Hey, what's that playing on the TV?" I didn't realize he was actually talking about something playing on the TV. So yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, no, it's I didn't even know about this site. That was pretty cool. I mean, it's funny. Before we started the show, I went and told my staff in the other room. I'm like, "Hey, check this out!" And I know it's probably up on all the screens now.
There you go. Yeah, live.
It's a good
hacked devices. Yeah.
Live hacking devices. By the way, go pay for the Shodan account. Enjoy yourself. Do the camera thing.
Be careful.
Use it responsibly.
Use it responsibly, but enjoy it and laugh. Go look for that guy using the sheep camera. That's all I'll say.
There's so much stuff happening on Shodan. Some of it I don't even want to. I wish I would have never seen.
Yeah,
you see some creepy shit
that you can't unsee.
That you can't unsee. I mean, like, as a hacker, kid hacking, doing stuff, booting people off of video games, potentially, allegedly seeing webcams. You don't see it as much as you see even on Shodan.
Yeah,
it's a lot on Shodan.
Oops, apparently I typoed.
Whoops,
well, look, I'm in drinking, so I mean...
This is what happens when you give us beer money. I can't press
all the keys. You gave us beer money, now
I can't even press all the keys. And now we can't type. That's what happens.
You gave me water money. I appreciate it.
There you go.
There's at least one responsible person here.
You have a license, right?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
See? There you go. Someone's got to drive home.
There you go.
I can walk home. I live so close. They got a little bit further to go.
Just a small hike.
Just a small hike.
Just pass all the green lights.
Pass all the green.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get a ticket. That's an entirely another racket. Looking at you, City of Southgate.
Simply.
All right, I think we've come to the end. We've been going about an hour. Is there anything else you guys have?
Is that all the hacker news we have? I think we covered a bit much.
Who wants to? Somebody talk to us in chat.
Yeah,
I want to do a little like
Q&A, something. And we appreciate you guys, checking in with us each week. So, we want to fulfill your how they got hacked.
Shout out to Digital Empress. Shout out to you.
She retweeted her stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she retweeted us, and she's supporting getting more people of color in tech and just more females in tech. Mm-hmm. And she actually does cybersecurity, and I think that's really interesting, right? Yeah. Like, females in cybersecurity, it's not really it's not like an industry norm just yet. So like more of that, please.
I
like diversity.
Yeah, we need more diversity in tech. I have preached this for a long time, and there's an uncomfortableness that I think some people feel that are going, well, are they people like me? And if they're not, if you walk into there, and if you went to a typical hacking event, you see
that's interesting.
Ton of nerdy white dudes.
What was what was your first hacker conference like, Mo? Hold on, when was it?
The first hacker conference.
The one that we just went to, right?
Was it B-Sides?
B-Sides Columbus?
Yeah.
And what was the atmosphere like? What was the demo?
I mean, I like to think of it as we're all hackers. But if you would like to break down the demographics.
Male, female.
Ooh. Let's just say out of 500 people, 450 of them are going to be male.
There you go. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very male-dominated industry.
And I go back to, I think of the first hacker conference I went to was 2001 Rubicon.
There you go.
And
it was probably all dudes.
There was, I think, 1 or 2 girls in the entire conference. This was a conference. And that's it. That's... so I've seen it's slowly shifting, and I get it. Like it's nervous because if you're a female in it and you're going, wow, I'm going to be like the only girl there, and it's just still a problem we run into. I had a really sad story of a client, and she wanted to get into technology, and she was working at another place, and the reason why she couldn't deal with all the harassment she got in an IT department. And it was sad. She's like, I just wanted them to stop. HR was not much help with me. They were playing grab ass with me and stuff like that. She was, it was...
Man, I don't do that tech, guys.
Yeah, and, this problem they have. And I actually talked to another business owner, and he owns a tech company, and he let an employee go because he harassed one of the other female coworkers. And he's like, no, he's creating an environment that's a problem.
See, if you work for my company and you harass a female employee, I'm gonna take you into the room, and we're gonna go for 30 seconds, body shots only. We're gonna get it in, and then you're gonna have to leave because like we're not playing that.
Yeah, I mean these are still real problems, and it's the chicken and egg problem too. Because I know there's probably a lot of other people of either of color or females that want to get into it, but they're nervous because it's a big crowd, and they're like, "Wow, I'm going to be the only girl there." Yeah. So I like when I see, because I've seen someone say, "Oh no, they're being biased because they see girl code it and stuff like that," and I'm like, no, they're trying to get together, so then they come in as a group. Yeah, and that's something better.
The pack hunter mentality is just petrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get it. People who want to deny it. If there's people, whatever you are, male, female, whatever, black, white, whatever. If you want to get into it, I'm encouraging people to get into it. We need more people in cybersecurity. We need more people in technology. Yes. Get out there and do it. So that's our little rant on that.
The Cisco stuff, we haven't really talked about it very much. Cisco's basically just been melting down for the last month, and we've just stayed quiet on it. Yeah. I like to say I've stayed quiet on it mostly because Duo, right? Because I'm trying to show some love. That's the home team. They're a part of Cisco. But I would also like to shit on Cisco because they aren't doing a very good job. And all of these fucking routers.
I don't think we talked about this, did we? So
we didn't.
Thingy Cat. You gotta have a good name, a good logo with the hack.
Angry Cat.
Angry Cat. Yeah, Angry Cat. So this involves hardware hacking, and of the worst. This is bad. Trust me, this will never get fixed. Don't worry. This requires replacing a physical chip on the Cisco to mitigate. There's not a firmware update. They found in the trusted platform module the equivalent of that. It's the, what is this thing exactly called? Angry Cat is a newly disclosed vulnerability in Cisco routers that allows attackers to subvert the router's trusted computing module, TCM they called it, which allows malicious software to run undetectably and makes it virtually impossible to eliminate the malware once it's been installed.
Yeah, trusted boot is never my God.
Yeah,
I don't even want
it's a mess. It's a mess. And this is back to me preaching
secure boot.
This is me preaching for open source all the time, because when you have things developed in the public eye and you're a big company, there's a combination. Open source doesn't automatically mean secure. Open source on a well-developed, well-maintained, very public project generally leads to more security, because more people are looking at it, more people have an opportunity to look at it because your code is public. And this is a time when apparently the implementation was not as good as it could have been, and it led to actual sale, deployment, and installment of this Cisco routers that are now going to have to be replaced in order to fix. I can't just send you a firmware patch. I got to send you a new switch. And these are not their low end. This is high-end enterprise. So bad.
Get your shit together.
Cisco's got to take their name out of security. I mean, after their Cisco ASAs and their horrible patching.
Come on, the Duo Security.
Yeah, I'll say they bought a security company so they can keep security in their name.
There you go.
You take one more look. I like these angry cats. These
look
cats.
At them. The angry cats.
Angry cats, man. This is what it looks like when you own an FPGA trusted compute module. This is what you get.
Wow.
You get some cats.
FPGA is so awesome.
I guess we could mention, and I did a video about this too, the Huawei.
Oh boy! So you might want to explain to people, because it seems like we have a global demographic, why this is even a problem and what is happening.
So there's a
lot of, I've had to explain this a lot at work, and people haven't really been able to grasp why this is even such a big deal.
The consumer people, if you're thinking from a consumer standpoint, you're thinking like, wow, he's got some amazing phones they released. What does this mean? It's bad. So like your P30, the new phones are still going to get updates and things like that. But basically, an executive order is signed saying companies in America may not do business with Huawei. And I'm not clear what the back-end political is for all this, and I'm not going to get into it because it's not the most relevant thing about this. But by banning this company, by banning U.S. companies to work with it, this means Huawei has been removed from the Wi-Fi Alliance. This means Huawei has been removed from the SD Card Association. They are no longer allowed to get ARM architecture chips. They are no longer allowed to get a Google license for their equipment. So the new versions of Android they're not going to be getting, and they can still participate with AOSP, which is the open source Android on their phones. But the one company I haven't heard from yet is the Microsoft. I don't know how this is going to work, whether or not they're going to continue to sell them Windows licenses, but that would obviously kill some of the Huawei laptops. And Huawei is a very, very big company. Now, to go and talk about the security aspects, not the political aspects. The other side that's going on here is when you talk about the security problems, and this is mostly centered not around phones, but their 5G equipment. Who needs a back door when you got a front door? The Huawei has been consistently insecure. I have an entire video where I go in depth about this, and someone says, oh, you just pulled up their CVEs, and lots of companies have a lot of CVEs. No, look at what their CVEs are. Look at the British intelligence report who went through and granted found 0 back doors. I don't think there's back doors in Huawei. That's the political, claim that there might be, but why, like I said, if you have crappy software, poor coding practices, using old versions of libraries in the open source to compile your software that are several versions behind, who needs it? You're now building infrastructure. So part of me agrees in some level of we shouldn't be deploying it. I'll agree with that level there because 5G is obviously the big thing we're looking at right now here in a lot of countries. Australia led the march on this. Australia said, we're banning Huawei and we don't want that 5G stuff here. And then you step over to the US. Now, let me explain a little bit about 5G. Why does 5G matter? Well, we want faster internet, faster internet. Well, 5G is faster internet by deploying small cell towers. We sold off the UHF, and the FCC sold off the UHF bandwidth. That's in the 500 to 800 roughly megahertz range. Then that bandwidth, if you remember UHF TV, if you're as old as me and have gray hair, and those channel 62 and everything else that we have, that is a shorter range. It was always the channels that were fuzzy because it doesn't have as much range. So you got to buy 5G. And where am I going with all this in terms of this? Really simple. We have to put more 5G devices. Now they also have the 24 gigahertz and a couple other ranges or megahertz. I don't remember which one. I'm not going to get into a spectrum analysis. Someone can post and correct me later. But all these different sections mean we're going to have a lot of different 5G segments to take over, and we need a quantity of them. Well, now we get into Huawei. Huawei happens to be a provider of them. The other big provider of them is Cisco. So the two companies, one we just talked about having shit security,
Right.
and another one we talked about having shit security, are the two options for 5G.
Whoops.
So the ban on it has probably more to do that we shouldn't deploy infrastructure and fix it later. And Huawei's track record of fixing things has been generally bad.
Yeah.
They do not have their coding practices is the big highlight. Like the British intelligence service that audited all their code in a white room in a clean room and got to go through your source code did not find a back door. They found a disaster of code that they're like they just don't know what they're doing. Is essentially how you could summarize it. They put it in much more politically correct speech, but they aren't following safe code practices. So therefore, deploying something on there is not necessarily a good idea. So we have enough problems. There's enough news topics all the time to cover with everything that's going on. We probably don't need another hey, let's just build on crappy infrastructure full of holes like Swiss cheese.
Right.
Because we don't have enough to do.
Right.
So that's kind of the nutshell of how that's going. A lot of people have had to come to grasp with it. Trade wars I don't like from a political standpoint. I think trade should be more open and stuff like that. I think there should have been hey, we're not going to build 5G on this because it's a security problem. That should have been the angle. I dislike, and intelligence agencies are going to be this way. We know there's something bad, but we can't tell you what because we're intelligence agencies and telling you would reveal our sources. Therefore, we're not telling you nothing. That's the political, roundabout if you follow the politics side of it. From a reality standpoint, like I said, they don't make secure products, and I think that's a valid thing. But it's obviously something really concerning in general. Mm-hmm. Go open source. If they open source it, that would alleviate a lot of this. And that goes for both Cisco and Huawei. If we built this on open hardware standards, we can audit it. We can have reproducible builds of the code and go, this is the binary that is running on this, and then we don't have to worry about backdoors, and we can look at the code and go, why'd you compile with an SSL version from 2013?
Right.
And that was one of the notes they had was they were compiling inconsistent versions, but all of them old, just of varying ages in their devices when they were doing their builds with OpenSSL. They're like, hold on, this is vulnerable to Poodle attack. This is vulnerable to, really old stuff from 2014. Why is this possible?
Why are you just not being good?
Yeah, it's a code library. It's just because this is the damning report that the British had was they actually had really some good written procedures. And they just didn't follow them internally. It's I don't know if it's a culture thing.
Enforcement.
There's no
Enforcement is hard.
enforcement. Xavier will tell you, as he's worked in these positions, he can tell you all day there's a security hole, and he can go raise the flag to someone, but eventually it comes down to, will they enact on it? Will they go, hey, maybe we shouldn't have all of our admins having privileges to too many things?
Right. It's up to someone to actually care.
Yeah, it's up to someone to actually care, and sometimes I'm under the impression, completely outside of security, but just from other problems that they've had in China throughout history of they're pushed to market first and solve problems later. It's maybe a culture thing. I don't know. I've never spent any time in China to really understand it, but from my outside eyes looking in, it's a push to market. It's kind of like those startups that get this way too. It's a, cash first, hurry up, get it to market, break things, move fast. We'll figure it out later, fix it in post, some venture capital. Once we have the market share, we'll go ahead and send an update to it. But when you're dealing with security, you can't get it right the second time. It's a lot worse to do it that way.
The first time, right?
Have to do it right the first time.
Oh boy.
I want to say what's up to No Self. He just joined us.
Yo, No Self, congratulations on passing your EJPT, I think.
EJPT.
Awesome.
Yo.
Is a certified junior penetration tester.
Ooh, gotta watch out for those junior dudes. They may know more than you think.
Oh, for sure.
Someone says, 51 people watching, you call it a global audience?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Come on, it's wherever you are makes it global.
Come on, man. Like, you act like when we go offline, it's just going to go offline. Like, it's going to be here. I have colleagues, at least, in other countries that are going to watch.
Someone's going to watch it.
We have a lot of people that watch the post show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think we've rambled enough.
Yeah, we've got enough rambling, man. I'm done.
Sometimes that's a problem. You get burned out because you're working it all day. You're like,
Yeah, a little bit.
I think they don't understand we really do this all day.
Oh my God.
When we leave here, we are going to
go do this.
Go do
this again.
Yeah, in some shape or fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Working in IT is nonstop. I don't know. I enjoy it though. I'm actually gonna watch Game of Thrones with my wife when I get home. So
there you go.
I will take a little bit of a break from the computer, but I still have my phone and I'm still messaging, stuff like that. So.
Fun fact: I have never seen a Game of Thrones episode.
You're all right though. It's okay.
Ooh.
It's all right.
Fun fact: you just lost 2 or 3 fans out there, just that fast.
Please do not unfan me.
Please be my fan.
Enlighten me. What is your favorite episode that I should watch that will get me hooked?
Not the first season. The first season's really slow, man.
Not the first season. If you can't watch the first season of something, it's probably bad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I mean, I don't think it's bad. I kind of watch it. It's cool to chill out with, but it's not gonna be on my recommended shows. Snatch, on the other hand, watch that.
Yes,
Snatch is great. And you can learn who Bullet-Tooth Tony is, and Boris the Blade, or Boris the Bullet-Dodger, depending on which one. Boris the Blade is what the hacker went by, but AKA Boris the Bullet. Boris the Bullet-Dodger. So. That made me happy when I seen that Register article.
Yeah. We're going to have to come up with a weekly movie suggestion. Someone in the Discord say, we like the movie suggestions, so we'll try to keep that in mind.
I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch some movies. I like movies, so.
I'm a horror movie fanatic.
Horror movie?
Horror movie.
Okay. Yeah, my kids like horror movie, my daughter does, and my ex-wife does, but I'm okay on a horror movie. I don't know. There's a lot of horrific things that happen in Game of Thrones, so if you're into torture scenes, they got you. They really do some torture in that. They kill a lot. Here's what'll get you into Game of Thrones if you're into torture and killing. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. There's like a supercut someone made on YouTube of all the death scenes compiled together for Game of Thrones.
Nice.
So if you watch that, you go, I could watch a movie that killed that many people in that many minutes. So all right.
There you go.
Maybe that'll get you into watching it. Other than that, I think we're out of here. Other people love Snatch, too. Yeah, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Yes, I like that movie. It's as good as Snatch. The film quality is very different. It's filmed in a heavy sepia tone. It's very different than Snatch, the way it was filmed. It's kind of got that film noir. Looks like a real indie movie, but the concept of the way they wrote the storyline, exactly the same thing, where they have several plot lines that follow, converge, and split again. It's kind of a Guy Ritchie style of writing, and combined with British gangster humor. So both are great. A lot of the same people, but the two shows are unrelated. He's cast the same character. My guess is like Kevin Smith. He just knew a bunch of people. He's like, I put my friends in movies. Like I think that's like Kevin Smith's style. Like I got in Hollywood, so I could put my friends in movies because it's a good idea.
Done.
What can I give them? Okay, Mo's odd movie of the week is Trash Humpers.
Trash Humpers.
Trash Humpers.
I never heard of it.
Are we still going to be able to monetize this video?
Of course. There's nothing that. But if you just want to see an
Trash
odd movie and you're like, why? Trash Humpers
Okay.
by Harmony Korine.
I'll have to look that up. That sounds interesting.
There you go.
All right, we'll let Xavier press the button and kill the session so we can go home and hack.
Awesome.
Yes.
You guys have a great weekend. If you're in the States, you got a extra long weekend.
Yep.
So enjoy, and we will see you guys later.
Yep.